And we're back. New regulations are set to transform how real estate professionals operate. These changes, the largest in over a generation, that can reshape the home buying and selling process fundamentally. Joining me now, we've got Realtor Kevin Grimes Sr., Mortgage Lender Officer Corey Anglin, and Attorney Mandeep Kaur. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you for having us.
All righty.
Thank you.
I'll start with you. First of all, happy birthday. We're going to say that. For those who don't know, as Dave, this shows his birthday. So thank you for spending it with me.
I appreciate you.
Thank you. Talk to me a little about the real estate market changing.
I wouldn't even look at it as necessarily changing. I would just say just enhancement to the current practices that we're doing. It's always been about choice and communication. So I think we're just honing down and zoning into that more to make sure that we're communicating effectively to our clients and just making sure that we're all on the same page moving forward to get the job done.
Right. Mandeep, you work with clients all the time. Talk to us a little bit about the work that you do.
I've been a real estate attorney for the last 22 years, so I have seen the market go up, come down, and everything in between. And I'd like to say, with what he's saying, even with the new regulations, what we're basically seeing is anyone who's been in the game who understands it, it can still continue to go in the favor of buyers, especially in our communities.
Would you say you've seen the market up, seen it go down? How do you describe it now?
Crazy.
Right.
It's true. After the market crashed in 2008, I went from having a very lucrative job to running around and doing notaries for $100 to then making so much money that I didn't know what to do with it to now being like, I just need a break.
Right.
You know, the market goes up and down, and I think what most of our clients need to recognize is it doesn't matter where the market is going. You're always going to want to buy something because that's the biggest asset that you can have for yourself.
Yeah. Corey, talk a little bit about the work you do.
So my primary role as a banker is to help our clients transition from renting to owning. And, you know, my job is to sit with them, identify their needs. We discuss credit, we discuss loan programs, we discuss down payment assistance if we can. You know, being a Bronx native, born and raised in the Bronx, I mean, I know how important housing is in our market,
Right.
Especially as it pertains to individuals of color. And so what I try to do is listen much more than I speak, ask pointed questions, identify, you know, where you want to be today, what are your financial goals tomorrow, and lay out, you know, a list of financial products and options that can help our clients make the right choice.
Yeah, it's a little touchy. I'm being nice here when I say it's a little touchy out there in terms of home ownership, and particularly for communities of color, given the fact that when we're looking at this housing crisis that we have, and not even a housing crisis, just housing rates. How have you been able to navigate that?
Well, I think it's the supply and demand equation. So right now we're in a scenario where there's much more demand for housing as in terms of lack of inventory, but that demand is bringing buyers to the table, and it allows us to have honest conversations, right? Because, for example, I provide financing for a variety of different property types: cooperatives, townhomes, condominiums, single families, multifamilies. So maybe a co-op is not for you. Maybe a townhouse is not for you. Maybe we can explore the benefits of single family. Maybe multifamily housing, where we can take rental income and take 75% of that rental income and add it to your income to help you qualify. So it's identifying the needs and the goals of our community, having the right questions, asking the right questions rather, and making sure that I present them with a slew of options so that they can make an informed decision.
Mandeep, let me come your way and talk about the mistakes that people make. Because I know you see some common threads as an attorney. What are some of the things that you see coming across your desk that you just like, again?
Well, a lot has to do with our realtor friends over here who are not very educated.
Right.
And he's not one. I wouldn't be here if it was. But to sort of veer off what he's saying, there's a lot of clients that I have in our community that are like, I don't have the down payment. I don't have the money, so I'm not buying anything. I, on the other hand, say, go buy an apartment. Be the first-time home buyer of anything. And they stop themselves from actually wanting to buy something because they don't think they have the money available to purchase stuff. So they'll say, I don't want to live in a co-op. What's wrong with living in a co-op? Because you could sell that for a profit and buy a house tomorrow. Right. So that's one of the things. I have a lot of discouraged clients that do come in. But with the ones that do come in, it's being realistic with what you can afford. That is a huge problem that I have noticed. They could have $10,000 in their bank account, but they're looking at stuff that is above their means and not talking to someone like Corey who could say, listen, we have grants we can offer. We have programs that are catered towards certain zip codes that will benefit you. So you can use that $10,000 to ultimately create wealth for yourself by owning real estate. Right. So, and not being honest.
We'll come back and talk to you a little bit about that in a minute, Corey, about the grants and the programs. I think it's so beneficial today. But for yourself as well, you know, you got people coming and they say, listen, I want to buy, I want to purchase. Are they saying, I want to buy, I want to purchase?
Yeah, absolutely. And some are saying, the ones that aren't saying that, it's all in the conversations, right? So first I ask them some qualifying questions. I see where they're at, and then I put them in contact with my lender, right? I let them speak to Corey, and then we break down what exactly is right for them. And if it's not right for them, one thing I love about my team is we're going to help you now. We're going to help you with the situation you're in now for the long term. There's been people that I've spoke to 2 or 3 years ago that we've closed on this year. Right, and that's greatness of the team that I work with is we're going to follow up with you. We're going to give you the right information and guide you to the finish line. It might not be now, but down the line.
And relationship matters. I mean, obviously, to have that relationship, and then for them to have the relationship with you to say, listen, you know, ride with us through. We're not going to do this on the front end right now, but by the time we get on the back end and get you correct, we'll get you into something that you can actually have your name on.
Yeah, and as life is life, then check in with us. I'm going to check in with them and see where you're going, how you're going towards reaching those goals to make sure you can get to the finish line.
Corey, we talked about this a few seconds ago because when you talk about just being that guy, obviously you say no a lot, right? You say yes a lot, but yes happens sometimes and people don't even expect it because there's some other things out there. Grants, opportunities, first-time home buyers. Can you just give people a little bit of an overview as to possibly what's even out there? Because there could be somebody saying, listen, right now, I want to be a homeowner, but I didn't even know this is out here.
Absolutely. And, you know, in regards to the no question, as Kevin mentioned, very rarely do I say no. What we do say is maybe not today, but maybe 6 months, maybe 12 months.
Not yet. That's
Absolutely.
No,
maybe we can entertain a possible co-borrower, right? Maybe we can switch the geographical area. If you're looking in Lower Westchester, maybe we can pivot to some areas in Northern Westchester or Connecticut. I'm licensed in 11 states. So I don't really believe in no. Like what I really try to do is just be more of a resource to be able to take a community that's been marginalized for hundreds of years, given inferior products, and put a slew of opportunities on the table so that we can dispel the misnomers that I need a 780 credit score or I need 20%. No, you do not. We can purchase with sometimes no money down. We have 2 programs where you can do 100% financing. As Mandeep mentioned, we can offer down payment assistance, closing cost assistance. We can help you build your credit to put you in position so if you're not ready to purchase today, then maybe 6 months down the line. So I think as a team, what we try to do is we realize that that individual may know 10, 20 other people that we may never know. If we can provide them with the highest level of service today, help them transition from renting to owning and create generational wealth, well, that satisfied client will present us with 15 or 20 other clients that are curious and, you know, hungry to transform their quality of life. And that's what we do well as a team.
Yeah. Where do people get hung up the most?
Not being honest. It sounds so silly to say because it doesn't really apply in real estate, but it applies a lot to what we do. Meaning whether you have the assets, what you're actually looking for. People get hung up on that a lot. I will have people who will sit there and say, yeah, I just deposited X number of dollars cash into my bank account, even though I know they spoke to Corey before and they'd said, don't do that. What I say to them is, I'm your attorney. Be 100% honest with me about everything that you want, and we will find a solution. Right. So that's the problem we hit into a lot more. It's not about the buying and selling part of it, because for any attorney that's doing it, that's black and white. You know what you're buying, you know the price, you know what it is. It always ends up being the relationships that you are having with your client. We joke all the time that we end up being their therapist more than half of the time. What's going on, whether you're getting a divorce, whether there's other personal issues going on that you don't want other people to know and how we can navigate you through that.
Yeah. Kevin, as we sit here talking, it's great to have a team of people, right? Because this is really what it needs to get across the finish line.
Absolutely.
Highlight for me the importance of that, right? That having that right team, because sometimes if this team isn't in place, it's hell for somebody trying to get across that line.
Right. Just like I learned in life, right? If you don't have the right support system and the right team, anybody you can go to and tell the truth to, someone who can go over your numbers, know your credit, know what you're making, right? It's a relationship. It's all about what we talked about before, choices and communication, right? The choice of working with us, of me and my team, is the communication that we're going to do amongst each other, right? The biggest thing I tell my clients is I can pick up the phone and call Corey on a Saturday afternoon and say help. I can call Mandeep on a Sunday and say help. This is the scenario we have in front of us. How do we help this client get to the finish line? And it's all about having that right team to have your back.
Yeah. So for people who are out here right now and saying, listen, you know what, I'm thinking about ownership, want to do ownership. It's been a goal, but now I want to make it a reality. Talk to them about first steps. What do they do?
Have the conversation. Call me, contact me, and let's see, as both of my great partners mentioned, there's different steps we could take, right? Even if it's not, one thing people is they watch TV and they see these gorgeous homes on TV. I love them too, right? I love watching it, and I wish I could afford that right now. But I've had conversations, one of my greatest stories is I had a conversation with a single mother who had a conversation with me and said, Kevin, I don't know what I want to, you helped me rent 10 years ago. I feel bad for you to help me get a 2-bedroom apartment now. I started with a 1-bedroom. What can I do? And I heard her out. I heard her scenario. I heard some of her finances, and I said, you know what? I think you need to have a conversation with Corey. She said, no. Long story short, she spoke to Corey. We changed her geographical area, right? She's now in Connecticut, and we got her to the finish line.
Wow. And that's what it's about.
Absolutely.
It's a great feeling.
Beautiful feeling.
Yeah. So, as we think about this here, what's the best time of year to really go after real estate? Is now the good time? I mean, y'all are laughing. Y'all know something I don't know.
I get that question all the time. It's what's the right time for you, right? It's not. Some people say, well, summertime is more competition. I'm going to wait for the winter, right? Guess what? Call me in the winter and the summer. I'm going to help you if it's the right time for you. If you feel that you have things together, contact me and let's figure it out. Because we might start the process now. We might not get you to the finish line till another season.
Right.
It might be 3 or 4 months. So it's all about have the conversation.
But when we talk about prices, fluctuating, we know that housing prices fluctuate. Is it a better time of year to wait in regards to that?
So what I'll say to that is having the right advocate on your side. Me as your realtor, it's my job to figure it out no matter what it is, right? I know some people say, well, oh, Kevin, you're never going to talk bad about the market because it's going to go up and down. But more importantly, let me have the conversation with the realtor on the other side to figure out what's best, right? Because they might be looking for too much and they're not getting it. That's why everyone say, well, it's been on the market 60 days. Let me offer them half of what they want. No, right? This is their biggest asset. As Corey said, this is their biggest asset that they're going to walk away with. Think about that. If that's your biggest asset, are you just going to let it go for half price? No, but there's a way that we can negotiate and get it for what's best for both sides.
Mandeep, you talked a little earlier about the roller coaster ride, up, down, up, down. Have things kind of like leveled out since COVID?
No. I would say it took a dip about a year or so ago when the rates went up. It definitely did. It affected our business. People were very scared as the rates went up, like what's going to happen? Are we going to see the market going towards a crash? But the reality is there just weren't and still aren't enough houses. So the reason it started to bounce back is because people got used to it. Okay, so if my rates are going to be in the 7 and I need to put my kid into a school that's in a different district, I'm not going to wait 6 months, a year to see whether I could still afford that house. I'm going to do it now. A lot of the clients that I have helped in the last year or so have already had conversations. I don't care if it's a higher rate. I need to get out from where I am, and I'll refinance in another 2 years or 3 years once the market starts to level out. Like I said, there's other options. So it did slow down, and now it's picking back up.
Right. We always mess up on the paperwork. What kind of paperwork should a person have as they get ready to come to you?
You know, as Kevin mentioned, every scenario is different. You know, we have salaried individuals, we have self-employed individuals, we have loan products where we can circumvent income reviews in its entirety. So really it starts with a conversation, right? First, you know, I'm gonna ask some pointed questions like, what is your occupation? If you're salaried, I typically will ask for pay stubs for the last 30 days, W-2s for the last 2 years. If you're self-employed, I'll request tax returns for the last 2 years. You may be self-employed, you may be this high-powered attorney, maybe your CPA is expensing out the majority of your income. Maybe we have to entertain a bank statement only loan, right? So, you know, the environment that we're in now is such a cool environment because we have a variety of different options to meet each and everyone's individual needs. And, you know, I wanted to speak to the question that you asked kind of both my colleagues here in regards to the timing. I think Kevin said it well, right? It really is about your timing. But when you think about the real estate market, our market, so real estate has outpaced the S&P 500, the Dow, and the NASDAQ in terms of being a high-performing asset class. So, you know, when you think about the tax benefits of home ownership, when you think about how individuals are leveraging multifamily housing to reduce their tax liabilities, I don't think you can afford to wait. As Mandeep said, I think if you're renting now and you're paying between $2,000 to $4,000 to $5,000 a month, well, we really need to have a serious conversation to transition you into ownership. So now you have some tax benefits. We can leverage that to possibly build your portfolio. So if you have a primary residence, we should be talking about a second home on investment property to bring in true generational wealth. So I don't think you can afford to wait. I think the conversation is now.
All right. It's been great talking to you guys. Got to come back, ladies, gentlemen.
I'm ready.
Thank you.
Well,
Thank
I
you for
appreciate
having us.
No, I think it's very pointed because when we talk about home ownership and the housing crisis, something that so many people deal with here in New York City. We're in the middle of a housing crisis, but how to navigate that, what to know, having that armed information really makes a difference. So thank you all for joining.
Appreciate it.
Thank
Happy
you.
birthday again, brother.
Thank you. I appreciate
All right.
it.